The Second World War ended in 1945, but its shadow lingered. Europe lay in ruins. Cities were reduced to rubble, and millions of people were displaced, struggling to rebuild their lives amidst the devastation. The war had left a power vacuum, and the world was on the brink of a new kind of conflict. Two superpowers emerged from the conflict: the United States and the Soviet Union. Both nations had played crucial roles in the defeat of Nazi Germany, but their visions for the future were starkly different. They had been allies against Nazi Germany, but their differences ran deep. The camaraderie of wartime quickly gave way to suspicion and rivalry, as each sought to shape the post-war world according to their own ideologies. The United States championed democracy and capitalism. It promoted a vision of a free market economy, individual liberties and democratic governance, believing these principles would lead to prosperity and peace. The Soviet Union, on the other hand, promoted communism and a centrally controlled economy. It envisioned a world where the state controlled all means of production and distribution, aiming to create a classless society. These competing ideologies set the stage for a global confrontation, the Cold War. The division of Europe, symbolized by the Iron Curtain, marked the beginning of this prolonged period of tension. It was a war unlike any before it. There were no formal declarations of war, no clear battle lines, and no definitive victories or defeats. There were no massive armies clashing on open battlefields. Instead, the Cold War was characterized by a series of proxy wars, covert operations, and a constant state of military readiness. Instead, it was a war of ideology, of influence, and of fear. Propaganda played a crucial role as both sides sought to win hearts and minds around the world. The threat of nuclear annihilation hung over the world. The development and stockpiling of nuclear weapons created a precarious balance of terror known as mutually assured destruction. Both sides amassed vast arsenals of weapons, each capable of obliterating the other many times over. This arms race fueled a constant state of anxiety and preparedness, but the Cold War was also fought in the shadows through espionage, propaganda, and proxy wars. Intelligence agencies on both sides engaged in covert operations to gather information and undermine their adversaries. This was a time of suspicion and mistrust. Ordinary citizens were often caught in the crossfire, living under the constant threat of being accused of espionage or subversion. The two superpowers saw each other as existential threats. Diplomatic efforts were often tense and fraught with the potential for escalation. Each side sought to undermine the other, to expose its secrets and to win over allies. The battle for influence extended to every corner of the globe. The Cold War was a global struggle, playing out in every corner of the world. From Asia to Africa, Latin America to the Middle East, no region was untouched by the superpower rivalry. It shaped the political landscape, influenced scientific and technological advancements, and left an indelible mark on the lives of millions. The space race, the development of early computers, and advancements in military technology were all driven by Cold War competition. The Cold War was a time of great tension, but it was also a time of great innovation. The competition between the superpowers spurred remarkable achievements in science and technology. The competition between the superpowers drove progress in many fields, from space exploration to computer technology. These advancements have had lasting impacts on our world today, but it also came at a great cost, fueling regional conflicts, toppling governments and claiming countless lives. The Korean War, the Vietnam War, and numerous other conflicts were direct results of Cold War tensions. Understanding the Cold War is essential to understanding the world we live in today. Its legacy continues to shape international relations, political ideologies, and global power dynamics. In the shadowy world of the Cold War, information was power. Both the United States and the Soviet Union created vast intelligence networks, their mission to steal each other's secrets and to protect their own. Espionage took many forms, from the recruitment of spies to the interception of communications. It was a high-stakes game where success could mean the difference between victory and defeat. Human intelligence, or HUMINT, was at the heart of Cold War espionage. Spies were recruited from all walks of life. Some were motivated by ideology, others by money or blackmail. They infiltrated governments, militaries, and scientific institutions. Their goal to gather information on enemy capabilities, intentions, and vulnerabilities. One of the most famous cases of Cold War espionage was that of Kim Philby. A British intelligence officer, Philby had secretly become a communist before the Second World War. He rose through the ranks of British intelligence, all the while passing secrets to Moscow. His treachery had a devastating impact on Western intelligence operations. The Soviets had their own successes in the world of espionage. One of their most valuable assets was Julius Rosenberg, an American engineer who provided the Soviets with classified information on the Manhattan Project, the United States' secret program to develop the atomic bomb. Rosenberg and his wife Ethel were eventually caught, convicted of espionage, and executed in 1953. Their case highlighted the very real dangers of Cold War espionage. Espionage during the Cold War wasn't just about human spies. It was a complex and multifaceted endeavor that involved a wide array of tactics and technologies. It also relied heavily on technology, which was rapidly advancing during this period. Both sides poured resources into developing sophisticated methods of eavesdropping and code breaking. Intelligence agencies were in a constant race to outdo each other, creating ever more advanced machines and techniques. The race to control information was as intense as the arms race itself. Nations understood that knowledge was power, and the ability to intercept and decode enemy communications could tip the balance of power. Signal intelligence, or SIGINT, played a crucial role in Cold War espionage. This involved not just listening in on enemy communications, but also understanding and interpreting the data. This involved intercepting and deciphering enemy communications. Codebreakers worked tirelessly to crack the codes and ciphers used by the opposition, often working in secret and under immense pressure. The United States, for example, launched a series of secret programs to tap into Soviet communication lines. These operations were highly classified and involved cutting-edge technology. One such program, codenamed Project Azorian, involved recovering a sunken Soviet submarine to obtain its codebooks and cryptographic equipment. This ambitious project showcased the lengths to which nations would go to gain an intelligence advantage. Technological advancements also led to new forms of espionage. Devices became smaller, more sophisticated, and harder to detect, making the spy game even more complex. Spy satellites were launched into orbit, capable of photographing enemy territory from space. These satellites could capture high-resolution images, providing invaluable intelligence. These satellites provided valuable intelligence on military deployments, missile silos, and other sensitive sites. Analysts would spend countless hours examining these images to extract critical information. The development of spy planes, such as the American U-2, further enhanced intelligence gathering capabilities. These planes could fly at high altitudes, beyond the reach of enemy defenses, capturing detailed images of the ground below. The world of Cold War espionage was also rife with double agents, individuals who spied for both sides. These operatives played a dangerous game, often living double lives and constantly at risk of exposure. These double agents often played a dangerous game, motivated by a complex mix of ideology, self-preservation, and greed. Their actions could have far-reaching consequences, influencing the strategies and decisions of their respective governments. Their actions could have a profound impact on the course of the Cold War. The information they provided could alter the balance of power, leading to significant geopolitical shifts. The case of Oleg Penkovsky, a high-ranking Soviet intelligence officer who spied for the West, is a prime example. Penkovsky's intelligence was instrumental in several key moments of the Cold War. Penkovsky provided the United States with crucial information on Soviet missile deployments during the Cuban Missile Crisis, helping to avert a potential nuclear war. His contributions underscored the critical role that espionage played in maintaining the delicate balance of power during this tense period. The most terrifying aspect of the Cold War was undoubtedly the nuclear arms race. This period was marked by an intense rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union, each striving to outdo the other in nuclear capabilities. After the United States dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945, the world entered a new era. The sheer devastation caused by these bombs was a stark reminder of the destructive power that nuclear weapons held. The destructive power of these weapons was unlike anything humankind had ever witnessed. Cities were obliterated in seconds, and the long-term effects of radiation were felt for generations. The Soviets, determined not to be outdone, developed their own atomic bomb in 1949. This marked the beginning of a dangerous and competitive race to amass the most powerful arsenal. The nuclear arms race had begun. Both nations invested heavily in research and development, pushing the boundaries of science and technology to create more advanced and deadly weapons. Both superpowers raced to build larger and more powerful bombs. The stakes were incredibly high, and neither side wanted to fall behind. The yield of these weapons increased exponentially. Each new test brought with it a more powerful explosion, capable of causing unprecedented destruction. The United States tested its first hydrogen bomb, 1,000 times more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb in 1952. This was a significant leap in nuclear technology. The Soviets followed suit with their own hydrogen bomb test in 1953. The race for nuclear supremacy was in full swing, with each side trying to outdo the other. The world watched in horror as the destructive potential of nuclear weapons grew. The fear of a nuclear apocalypse became a constant presence in the lives of people around the globe. The development of intercontinental ballistic missiles, or ICBMs, in the late 1950s added a new dimension to the nuclear threat. These missiles could be launched from one continent and reach another in a matter of minutes. These missiles could deliver nuclear warheads across vast distances with incredible speed and accuracy. The ability to strike anywhere in the world with such devastating force was a game changer. The possibility of a surprise nuclear attack became a very real and terrifying prospect. Governments and citizens alike lived in constant fear of an imminent strike. Both sides developed elaborate early warning systems to detect incoming missiles, hoping to gain precious minutes to respond in the event of an attack. But the fear of a mistake or miscalculation loomed large. A false alarm or technical glitch could potentially trigger a catastrophic response. The nuclear arms race had a profound impact on the Cold War. It influenced military strategies, political decisions, and international relations. It created an atmosphere of constant fear and uncertainty. People built bomb shelters, practiced drills, and lived with the anxiety of potential nuclear war. The threat of nuclear annihilation cast a long shadow over international relations and shaped the strategic thinking of both superpowers. Diplomacy was often conducted under the looming threat of mutual destruction. The doctrine of mutually assured destruction, or MAD, emerged. This doctrine was based on the idea that any nuclear attack by one superpower would result in a devastating retaliatory strike by the other. Both sides recognized that a nuclear attack would inevitably lead to their own destruction. This understanding created a tense but stable deterrence. This doctrine, while terrifying in its implications, arguably helped to prevent a nuclear war. The fear of mutual destruction kept both superpowers in check, maintaining a fragile peace during one of the most dangerous periods in human history.